Good afternoon from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio. Sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Joel Norwood with today's Ag News. Higher across the board for markets today. We'll get to that here in just a little bit. But first, don't forget, Mercer Landmark hosting the 3rd annual Agro Expo at the Laddie Agronomy Facility in Paulding. To learn more or attend, visit agroexpo.com. That's agroexpo.com. We'll be there later this week. Also, on Thursday's midday show, we'll be talking about the soybean crush expansion in Ohio and what that means for biofuel opportunities. And speaking of biofuel, that's possibly the greatest market expansion opportunity that we could see in both the corn and soybean side, especially when we consider how big this year's corn crop really could be. Yes, we are seeing pressure in Ohio, but as we've seen from some crop tours and other reports out from across the Midwest, places like Illinois and Iowa doing just fine. Will it be as big as USDA's prediction of 15.15 billion bushels? Stephen Nicholson is the global sector strategist for grain and oilseeds with Rabobank. Tells us he'll be watching information from a couple of specific corn growing areas as this harvest progresses.
There's no doubt that this is a 180 plus crop. There's just, you look around the country, drive the countryside for sure. I think the one thing I am going to be watching USDA down the road is what they do with northern Iowa and southern Minnesota. North of Highway 20, south of I-90, there's a lot of holes in that cornfield, and the farmers will tell you it was a difficult spring. So I would think that the yields potentially could come down a little bit from USDA's August yields.
And the big question, is there enough demand to eventually move the corn price higher with so much production?
The challenge, of course, is not necessarily demand in the world, but the relationship with China. And that's really what the problem is. And the other issue, of course, is ethanol. Is there growth in ethanol? Likely not. Is it going to go away? No, but it's still going to be there.
He also adds that the ongoing discussion of ethanol qualifying as a feedstock for sustainable aviation fuel would help a great deal. In other news, highly pathogenic avian influenza. Its spread is slowing, but USDA telling farmers to stay vigilant. The disease continues to spread among poultry flocks as well as cattle. USDA Deputy Undersecretary for Marketing and Regulatory Programs, Dr. Eric Diebel, has been overseeing much of the work in Washington, D.C. since the most current outbreak began a couple of years ago. Speaking at an H5N1 forum recently in Raleigh, North Carolina, Diebel said concerned agencies and stakeholders have to continue to keep the lines of communication open.
One of the things that was emphasized in the conversation was the need for communication. And the absolute essential nature for both the folks from USDA and FDA to talk directly with producers and directly with individuals who may be affected by H5N1 in dairy cattle and in poultry, and to make sure that they understand what's happening, the nature of the disease, and what kind of supports are available to them should they have an affected herd or an affected flock.
Testing for the disease does continue, and they've seen a shift in where it's showing up.
We have seen steady testing volume in the national lab system, about 2,000 to 3,000 tests a week. And we have seen a decrease perhaps in the interstate pre-movement testing, but an increase in intrastate testing for folks that are moving animals to fairs and shows. And we expect that those numbers will continue to climb up and we'll continue to see high volumes of testing.
Diebel says that. With that being said, he is happy to report the spread has slowed in recent weeks.
We have not seen a new state affected by H5N1 in about 5 weeks, which is great. We know that's going to change. This disease will pop up somewhere else, but we're very hopeful that the lessons that we've learned to date, both working with FDA and working with the state veterinarians, working with NASDA and NASAHO, and everybody up and down the line, that we will be able to respond well should this emerge in a new location.
One other positive note, several companies have developed potential HPAI vaccines, we're told.
We have 4 to 5 candidates who have come forward and have requested the opportunity to begin field safety trials. That is one of several steps in achieving vaccine licensure.
That's an avian influenza update with USDA Deputy Undersecretary Dr. Eric Diebel. And stay tuned, we'll be recapping a positive day for markets in Chicago when we come back on the Ohio AgNet.
Hey Ohio, exciting news coming to you from Ohio's Country Journal. Subscribe or renew your free subscription by September 20th of 2024 and you could win one of 4 50-inch televisions. Ohio's Country Journal is free, but subscribers have to renew their subscriptions every 3 years to continue to receive it. Subscribe or renew to stay updated on all things Ohio, from agricultural insights to rural lifestyle. Don't miss out. Visit our website today at ocj.com/renew.
You're listening to the Ohio AgNet. Let's take a look at closing market numbers after Tuesday's trade in Chicago. Again, the first trading day of the week following the Labor Day holiday. And traders must have come back in a pretty darn good mood because September corn up 8.5 cents to $3.86.5 per bushel. December new crop corn $4.09 That's an 8.25 cent gain. September soybeans 15 pennies up to $9.97, with new crop beans at $10.12 per bushel. That's 12 cents higher on the day. And next July wheat $603.5 up 13.75. This market update thanks to Seed Consultants, simply better performance. Online at seedconsultants.com. October live cattle 68 cents up to $179.28 as feeder cattle for October at $239.33 up $1.58. October lean hogs gained 30 cents to $82.53, and a milk class 3 across the board up 13 cents to 36 cents depending on the month. This is the Ohio AgNet.